What I was hearing from the medical people was, you will never have any movement past your shoulders. This is something you need to get used to. And they said it to me lightly, but with Jeremy, I mean, they took him aside and it was hammering this into him. She'll never be the same. She will never walk. She will never, she will never. And so having this internal sense of myself made it possible for me, when I was hearing these things, to look at my husband and say, don't believe it.
Even with the prognosis of partial paralysis, Molly was determined to make progress.
So when the doctors were saying to me, you're paralyzed, my mind was going, where? I don't see it. Well, right, calisthenically, no, I cannot lift my leg up, but I have a sense of vitality and life in my whole body. So where is the paralysis? And so the staff decided that I needed to see a neuropsychiatrist. I said, I'm a realist. I said, if I suddenly discover that my body is not responding in any way, shape, or form, I said, well, I will readjust my perceptions. I said, meanwhile, we could talk about, well, what if this doesn't happen, and what if that doesn't happen? And I'm not willing to talk about the what if, because the what if isn't here yet.
I know that a lot of the doctors, they wanted her to be okay with just learning how to be in a wheelchair. And many of us went with her to the hospital and just went, you don't understand. She is not going to be okay with just being in a wheelchair. She's going to want to walk. And they're like, well, you have to realize that she's paralyzed. And we're like, oh, we know that, but we also know her.
None of us, including Molly, had any idea at that time as to just how much she would be able to participate. But we did know Molly's spirit, and we did know she'd give it her best shot.
Seeing Molly meet her challenges and the way that she does things, it's like, man, her level of integrity, her level of, her level of focus. And this thing is provided an opportunity for, Molly in her own world and in her way to practice something which few people get to practice in that way.
Many people who have spinal cord injuries tend to assume they will be in a wheelchair for the rest of their life and gain wheelchair mobility. She had a vision that she'd be able to walk, and so she wanted to create legs that would be in a position to walk.
I tend to bring a beginner's mind every morning. It's like I remind myself, here today, this is a new day, and let's take a look at what's going to happen. And so I look for just the smallest incremental changes, and they pretty much every day I get one.
Molly never knows for sure whether or not her progress will be stable. That kind of uncertainty following an injury can be discouraging.
In terms of depression and things like that, I just don't dwell there. It's not that it never comes up. It's that I know, again, from training, that this too shall pass. And it can pass very quickly. It's not a denial that depression ever comes in. It's just being so aware of my emotional state moment by moment by moment, that when it does pop in, I just through training have ways of acknowledging it and then doing something about it, you know, which is to move or to breathe.
With your big strong arms. There you go. Yeah.
I can't walk yet, but what can I do? If I really try hard, what can I do? And she always takes it right in stride and goes, okay, I can do that. She's never said, I can't.
One foot, other.
Because that's one of the things that happens with illness is that there is, and particularly in an acute injury, like a spinal cord injury, is there's a absolute divide between the former life and the next life. And in Molly's case, there wasn't that sharp divide. She has a very broad view of the world, so she actively used the medical establishment in the ways that it was helpful. She actively used the alternative practitioners. She actively used community. And I think it's a very important concept for anyone who's facing a serious challenge, because there is no unidimensional way of approaching complicated problems.
Get your foot out.
Well, yeah, that's
Get your foot out.
And that's one of the main reasons why I fell in love with Molly and we came together is that very spirit and how she lives in her life.